Hello, my crafty friends. Can you believe that this was liquid just a little bit ago? I have just tested out a new product by Diction. It's a new Resincrete called Decor Etch. And let me tell you, I had my doubts about it, but the final result looks just like stone. So I filmed the entire process for you, step by step, to show you exactly how it works and what it's like afterwards. So grab your supplies and let's get busy. In this kit by Diction, you get a bag of Resincrete Decor Etch powder. It also includes a liquid. So this is not like Resincrete where you mix it with water. You mix it with their proprietary liquid. And you get this scrubby brush that you're going to need in the second step of this product. And of course, they've got great instructions on how to use the product step by step for you. You're also going to need some gloves. They say to use a dust mask. I just happen to have a respirator. I'm working on a silicone mat and of course my leveling board so that I make sure everything is poured evenly. And I've got these molds that I'm going to test out this product with. There's 2 tea light candle holders and 1 small pot. And you're also going to need for that second step some citric acid or some vinegar. And you're going to want a measuring scale because you measure this out by weight. And you'll want to set this on grams. And you can see this is a little bit different looking than Resincrete. It's got these little fine specks in it, and it's a little grittier. So this is mixed 5-to-1, and I'm kind of just guessing on the amount I need here for these molds. And I'm going with about 200 grams of powder to 40 grams of liquid. And now I'm going to add in that liquid that they provide you. You've got about an 8-minute working time to get this stirred up and poured. And you can definitely tell that it's grittier. It almost feels like a cement aggregate when you're mixing it. See all those little specks in there? This is quite a bit thicker than their regular Resincrete water-based product. So I just slowly add it to my mold, and then I'm working it around the mold and popping that mold up and down just to get the Decor Etch to settle in. And it takes a little bit of doing to get it in, but I gotta tell you, it's a little bit satisfying doing this process. I don't know why. Maybe I was one of those kids that made mud patties when I was little, but this is what that reminds me of. Now these aren't the best quality molds. I think I got these off of Temu. So they're a little thinner. This stuff might work better with a thicker, more durable mold, but we'll see how they turn out in the end. I ended up using one of my resin tools to kind of help work that down along the sides of these molds because they're just such thin molds. And I recommend working with this in smaller batches because it does really thicken up pretty quickly. And as always, I'm gonna have links to the supplies in this video, and Diction gives me 10% off discount codes for my viewers, so be sure to check below in the description of the video and save yourself some money if you want to try out these products. I've got just a little bit left in this batch, so I'm going to hurry and find a small mold so I don't waste any of it. And this little heart mold is perfect. Just rinse and repeat, fill that up, give it some jiggle and wiggle, and release some of those air bubbles and get it all to settle. And now I'm going to mix up my second batch for my bigger pot mold. I'm just creating a little well in the middle to put my liquid in, and then give her a good mixing. And on this one, I think I'm gonna try a little color. So I'm gonna get out some of my May Spring mica powder and add a little bit of that to this too, because I think the blue and the black specks might look cool in the end. I was kind of wanting to go for more of a marbled look, but my mica powder just really blended all the way in with it. But hey, we're just experimenting. We will go for it and see what we get. And I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my members this month and all of those who have bought me a cup of coffee. The extra support means more than you know in keeping this channel alive. And I also just really thank you all for just watching, commenting, giving me a thumbs up, and sharing my videos. And again, it is just a thick product, so you really need to take your time, work it down with your tools, you know, give it some kerplunks on the table, kind of jiggle and wiggle it to get it all to settle down into your mold. And you can see there's some air trapped in there. So I'm just using my hands and I'm working it around. Now, unlike their Resincrete water-based product, this cures in 2 to 4 hours, not 30 minutes. So you do have a little more playtime to work these molds. I'm really curious how this blue is going to turn out and how these are going to come out of these molds. And again, I've got a little left over, so I quickly grab one of my little vase molds. I don't have enough to fill it up, but I have enough to make a mini short vase because we don't want to waste any of this stuff. All right, now it says to let these sit for 2 to 4 hours. It's been about 3 hours and these are plenty solid enough to demold. Let's see what we've got. Before we actually put them in the acid etching wash, the vinegar, I already like them. I like the speckled look, but they are very smooth, so they don't feel like a granite at this point. So I'm gonna be really curious to see what they turn out like after we give them a soaking in the vinegar, but let's demold the rest of these. Honestly, I just love the look of these without even having the rough granite-like surface. They're really pretty. I think you can get a better sense of it with this heart. I know it might be hard to see on camera. So these turned out more like baby blue. We'll see what happens after we etch away some of this first layer. At this point, it says to let them sit 24 hours before you immerse them in your acid. So I've let them sit 24 hours and now I'm just using household distilled white vinegar and I'm putting that in a glass bowl. And we're gonna start by placing our tea light candle holders in there first before we move on to the big guns. You don't wanna dilute your vinegar. You just want it to be full strength if you're using vinegar. And it says to leave them in for about 15 seconds and you'll see all these little micro bubbles. And I'm hoping that you can catch this on my camera. But see all those little tiny bubbles starting to fizz up and eat away at that Decor Etch? So once there's lots of little bubbles in there, I'm gonna lift it out and start scrubbing away the surface. It's definitely taking away that smooth feel, and it feels just like I'm holding a piece of granite, a rock. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I've tried to accomplish this idea using other things to give it that kind of rough surface so it looks like stone, because I love this natural stone look. So if you're like me and you love that look and that aesthetic, this product's definitely something to give a try. Yeah, look at that. You can really see more of the granite look coming out. Let's move on and dunk our blue pot in there and see what that ends up looking like. I went ahead and left this in my vinegar for 10 minutes, not 15 seconds, just to experiment and see. Now I'm going to give it a scrub, and it's definitely taking off that outer layer and giving us that rough stone feel, and a lot more of the black specks, the granite-like look is coming to the surface. We need feel-o-vision because I don't know if you can tell on camera what it feels like, but if you've ever picked up a round piece of granite, that's what it feels like. Our blue pot reminds me a lot of a robin's egg, blue with the little specks in it, although you've got all the little pitting and the stone-like feel from the Decor Etch vinegar reaction. It's pretty cool. I gotta say, I had my doubts about this product, but I'm truly impressed. I'm going to go ahead and seal these with Resincrete sealer. I don't want them to be super shiny. I like to keep that more earthy-like finish, but I do want to seal them just so they're a little more durable and waterproof. So I'm just going to brush that on with the sponge that they supply you with your Resincrete sealer, and then I'm going to let those set for 24 hours. I went ahead and styled a succulent pot out of my blue one, and I kind of really love it. What do you think? This isn't food safe. This is only for decoration, for plants, for trinket trays. I'm just going to put a candle in these little tea light holders, but they could be jewelry trays. You could do a lot of things with them. But I love this aesthetic, I love this look, and I'm excited to see what else I can do with this in the future. I hope you got some inspiration today, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.